Hi, my name is Amal Fabian and I'm with the Schwa School of Language. Today, we are going to be talking about a topic that many people are interested in, and that is pronunciation. To talk about that, we have with us Swati Rai. Swati is a colleague of mine, as well as an experienced English language teacher. She has a CELTA from Cambridge University. She has taught both children as well as adults. She is a British Council-accredited intercultural fluency trainer. She has written not one, but 2 books on grammar based on the education policy of India. And she is also a contributing columnist with the Tribune newspaper. She has written about acing writing skills, and I know that she's written about much more. So, Swati, you're the right person to talk about pronunciation. My first question to you is, what is global English?
Hi, Amal. Thank you for having me at the Schwa School of Language, and many congratulations. To talk about global English, we know English is a lingua franca, so it's spoken globally across the world. Whereas we have, many people speaking it in their own tongue, many, pronunciation, many accents, so to speak. So there is a variety. Yeah? So one is it. Now, is there, a need for standardization of language across the world? That's the question that Global English answers. So essentially, it is an evolving language. It is adaptive, it's adaptive and it's being adapted globally by people who are the users of it. So you have a standard variety, you have the native English speaker, and you have the non-native speakers of English. So when, you can say that the ground where there's an approximation of both, when there is an adaptation of, the standard variety of English, you can talk about whether it could be in vocabulary, it could be in, accent, it could also be in usage. So yes, so something that is globally understood, which may not be the acceptable standard variety of English. That's
right. So, if a person is learning English, should she strive to speak, for example, with an American accent?
I think accent is personal. It is essentially an influence of the region to which you belong. So, and it's inadvertently going to creep into your language, your speech. No, I wouldn't say it's important for you to speak in any accent. Why American? It has to be your own accent, so long as there is intelligibility in language, in speech, in the enunciation of sounds. So there is this, I would say, overlap of accent and pronunciation that we need to clarify. These are not similar things. These are different aspects of language learning, and accent is personal, regional influence of, let's say, inflection, of word stress, of rhythm, the language on your speech, whereas pronunciation is essentially a global standard of enunciation of sound. So let's say, for example, sound sh and s, right? So, or j and s. So, if there is, or the vowel sounds, the E, the long vowel sound E and I. If there is, a mismatch between vowel sound and your lexis, vocabulary that, you wish to convey, there could be a miscommunication. The sheep is sailing on the sea, right? Rather than say the ship is sailing.
Right.
So I wouldn't say accent. Yeah, it's aspirational to say that I want to speak like an American or I want to speak like any other nationality. But I think if you could retain your own accent and being intelligible, being clear in communication, I think that's a definite plus. And that leads in very well that ties in very well to your first question of global English.
Right. So I can see that. So you can have, say, Japanese English, Australian English. You can have the Italian English, Indian English, of course, and it's all fine.
So these are varieties.
Right. So if a person wants to improve her pronunciation, what can she do?
That's a great question, Amal. I think one, of course, join a great language school. Follow your page. Third, I would say things you can do on your own. One is record yourself, listen to the words, listen to your sounds, practice with tongue twisters that can help clarify a lot of sounds. Then third, obviously, watch whatever interests you, sitcoms, news, see what is the rhythm of the language, because pronunciation is not only sound, it's also the rhythm of the language, isn't it? The stressed syllables and unstressed syllables. So you can help, listening, ear training can help you clarify these aspects of language. Then, of course, if you're looking at academically the sound chart, you can look at the phonemic chart. There are plenty of resources online. There are apps that can help you. There are YouTube videos that can help you. But at the end of the day, you have to try and speak, understand the rhythm, and clarify your sounds. Also, last thing that I'd like to add is do not overload yourself cognitively, because it can become a little challenging, isn't it? I mean, do it piecemeal. There's no hurry. And identify a few problem areas that could be impeding your communication, and then go ahead.
Right. So practically, say if there's a student and she wants to improve her language skills, and you're talking about word stress and intonation and rhythm, could you give me a practical example as to what she can do, say right now, after watching this interview? What could she do to improve her pronunciation?
Yes. So I'm sure such a student would already have a vocabulary bank, right? Or would probably be following words and things like that. So it's always a good idea to have a dictionary app. Back in the day, we used to have this pocket dictionary, but now you have the app in your pocket. So what you can do is go to that word, any word, click onto that word, you'll be able to hear the audio. So that is the first step. You are able to, and then practice same word. So that is a quick tip. You have that word. Slowly your confidence will grow, as you practice that word. So you have some words in the kitty. And then, of course, you can, frame your own sentences, record sentences. I would say from word to sentence to paragraph. Record, listen, identify where you can put the stress, where you can actually, sort of highlight the stress syllable, practice speaking. And see, also, it's a good idea to be a little reflective. So that student can also quickly check what difference does it make when I stress the word. Why is there a need for contracted forms? We have the shiz and the his, apostrophe s, because to aid speech, to aid fluency in speech, isn't it? So so the student can definitely have dictionary app, practice the words, speak them out aloud, listen back to yourself, listen to some sitcoms and speeches, and also perhaps news, and cull out a few sentences from there and practice speaking the same. So then you have the standard. You have something to match your speech against. So these are 3-4 things that you could do on your own.
What I find interesting is that at times students do not know that they are mispronouncing a word, because the people around them are mispronouncing the word as well. So would you suggest that they look at, say, some high frequency words, that is words that they use a lot in their line of work, and then focus on those words first?
Yes, high frequency, but there's no way for the student to identify which would be a high frequency word. For them, they're always looking for fancier words, newer vocabulary, more impactful vocabulary, and the ones, like you rightly said, that there's a lot of fossilization, so we heard this word spoken like this, so we're going to continue speaking it like that. But there's no way of identifying. I think for that, there's a concerted effort that is needed. to be on the lookout for words that could be mispronounced and not take anything for granted. I'm sure even you and I, we always check on words and the pronunciation before we use some of them. When we are confused, there's no harm in checking, because you never know what's, what we could have heard and what has been handed down to us is the right pronunciation. So yes, definitely high frequency words, but I think that there the teacher's role comes in.
Right.
The teacher can pick out words and say, okay, this is the list of words that we're going to discuss today at this CEFR level. But for the student on their own, I think a general curiosity about words would also help a bit.
Right. So that was interesting. You made a point about fossilized pronunciation, and so that even though in the classroom the student may be exposed to the right pronunciation, when he or she leaves the classroom and speaks naturally, then we're going to revert to the previous pronunciation. My last question for you, Swati. You are an experienced teacher. What has been your experience of teaching pronunciation?
That's an interesting question, Amal. So I would say, insofar as pronunciation is concerned, most people have this concern about individual words. At the cost of practicing sentence stress, sentence rhythm, and natural flow of language. So I think that also needs to be paid attention to. One is that. And second, like you rightly brought out, accent is the big issue. I think this whole equation of language with culture, that could be the culprit here, isn't it? I think it's aspirational for most of our students to aspire towards a certain accent. But of course, as a teacher, as a trainer, I veer them towards clarity of speech, enunciation of individual sounds, and removal of MTI, so as to negate any kind of miscommunication. But yeah, so these are my three top concerns or aspects of pronunciation that come across.
Right.
But it's
so
on the whole.
Yes. So you refer to removal of MTI, which would be removal of mother tongue influence.
Yes.
So what I find interesting is we started with pronunciation, but when we talk about it, we are talking about not just the pronunciation of a particular word, but of a sentence, right? Or of phrases, sentence, stress, rhythm. And we're also talking about culture as well. So culture is embedded in the pronunciation.
Yes, I don't think you can sunder the two.
And that's a good note to end on. So here's the takeaway for all of you who have stayed till the end of this interview. It does not matter whether you speak English with an Indian accent or a Mexican accent or a Ukrainian accent. What matters is that you pronounce words correctly and clearly, so that people listening to you understand what you are saying.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Thank you, Swati. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks, Amal. Thanks for having me. Pleasure was mine.